I see the night and the city glow, flashing lights, people on.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something a bit different with our source material.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're looking at the complete lyrics for the song Degeneration by Kurt Holes.
Exactly. And we're not just treating it as a song, but more like, a really concise statement, almost an essay about being alive right now.
Yeah.
Modern alienation, technology, that kind of thing.
It packs a punch, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Our mission really is to unpack that, to get past the poetry, although the poetry is great, and dig into the actual critique Holes is making.
Right. We want to give you a sort of blueprint for his argument about, the pace of life, how we connect or don't connect, and maybe even who we are anymore.
And it starts right off the bat, setting up this big contrast.
Yeah, that's what struck me too. He paints this picture of high energy, chaos almost, but the feeling underneath is emptiness.
Yeah.
Stagnation.
That's the core tension, absolutely. The setting is deliberately overwhelming. He starts with, I see the night and the city glow, flashing lights, people on the go.
It sounds vibrant, exciting even.
It should, right. It's pure urban energy, maximum input visually and conceptually.
Like the opening of a movie, all possibility. But then he just pulls the rug out almost immediately. That line, we're all moving but staying still. Oof.
That's it. That's the whole paradox of that first section in, 5 words? He's nailing this idea of performing movement, expending huge amounts of energy.
But going nowhere.
Exactly, like being stuck on a treadmill turned up to 11. You're working incredibly hard just to, stay in the same place. It's effort without actual progress.
Okay, hang on. If everyone's on the go, how can they be still? Is it about the type of movement? Or the goals? I think he suggests the goals are maybe illusory or just unreachable. The next line clarifies it a bit. Chasing dreams that we never will.
Okay, so the energy's there, but it's directed at things that might be mirages, set up by the very culture that's making the lights flash.
Precisely. So the movement is real, physically, but it lacks meaningful direction, purpose. Therefore, effectively, you're standing still. The effort is nullified because it doesn't lead anywhere valuable. Okay, that makes sense. And that pointless energy feeds into this feeling of being overwhelmed, right? The sensory overload thing.
Yeah, it's not just movement, it's noise, light, neon signs and the rhythm hits, dancing fast, but our minds won't sit.
So your body is sort of forced into this rhythm, the city's rhythm.
Yeah, you're participating, you're dancing fast, you have to keep up.
But your mind is just agitated, restless. It can't find peace in all that activity.
The stimulation doesn't soothe anything. It's like the external beat is imposed, but it can't drown out the internal chaos or anxiety. There's this complete mismatch between the physical compliance and the mental state. The mind resists.
And that internal discomfort, that restlessness, seems to bleed outwards into social interactions, or the lack of them. We go from moving but still to being together but alone.
That's the next layer. The focus pulls in from the big cityscape to the people right next to you. Faces blur in the crowded street.
Which happens, right? When you're stressed or just overwhelmed, individuals kind of melt into the background.
Yeah, they become part of the noise, part of the scenery, rather than distinct people. It signals a loss of maybe individual significance in this hyper-stimulated, crowded space.
And then the communication breakdown. That's where it gets really sharp, I think. It's not just that you don't see people clearly.
You don't hear them either, even when they're talking. Everybody talking, but no one hears.
It's such a perfect line for now, isn't it? Like we're all broadcasting into the void.
It really captures that signal-to-noise problem. There's constant chatter, constant information flow, but the actual mechanism for listening, for understanding, for meaning to land, it feels broken, like crossed wires. And he gives a reason why nobody hears, linking it to emotion in the static of our modern fears.
So is the static literal noise, the city sounds, the digital chatter? Or is it internal? Like our own anxieties blocking connection?
I think it's got to be both, hasn't it? The external world is definitely noisy, full of information, full of demands on our attention. That creates literal static. But the internal fears, anxieties about your job, the future. Keeping up that internal noise makes it almost impossible to dedicate the mental energy needed to truly listen to someone else.
So we're kind of wrapped up in our own heads defensively.
Yeah, exactly. The collective anxiety itself becomes a barrier. It's the static.
And right at this point, just before the chorus, he stops using metaphor and just points the finger. He names the thing causing the blur and the static. It becomes very direct. The mechanism is laid bare. lost in screens in a digital beat. There it is.
This is presented as the specific tool, the technology that enables this whole condition. The isolation in the crowd, the high-speed futility we talked about earlier, it's now linked directly to being immersed in tech.
We're swapping the messy human world for this. Cleaner, maybe, but isolating digital rhythm.
Yeah, the digital beat. Predictable, constant, but ultimately isolating.
So the phone, or the screen more broadly, becomes the symbol for this degeneration. It's the thing we turn to that ensures we don't have to deal with the silence or the person next to us. It facilitates that crowded solitude.
And that critique leads straight into the chorus, the big, repeated statement of the song's core theme, the consequence of being lost in that screen, which is the title itself. Degeneration, degeneration. It lands like an alarm bell, doesn't it? You can't ignore it. The repetition hammers it home. It's not just an observation. It's a judgment, a statement about decline. And characteristically, he immediately tells you how this degeneration happens.
Lost in the phone, no destination.
Right. The immersion in the digital world isn't just distracting us, it's actively eroding our sense of purpose, our direction. Where are we even going?
So the phone isn't just the device, it's more like the state of constant, shallow connectivity. The lack of downtime, maybe, the space you need to figure out a destination.
I think that's a fair reading. It represents that whole ecosystem. When your primary guide is this external digital feed, maybe the internal compass, the sense of a personal destination, just gets lost in the noise.
And that leads to the really big, kind of scary questions in the refrain.
Yeah, the focus shifts from the how, the screen, to the what now, the existential fallout. Where did we go? What's our foundation?
Oh, those hit hard. When everything's moving so fast and the noise is so loud, you lose your bearings. The degeneration is the crumbling of that bedrock, whatever it is.
Well, what is that foundation he's talking about? Is it morality, shared history, just basic personal grounding?
It could be all of those, couldn't it? But the next lines seem to lean heavily into history and memory. Definitely. He talks about the past. Echoes of who we used to be floating in the haze of memory. So we're not just lost now, we're disconnected from who we were. Our past selves, or maybe our collective past, isn't solid. It's just echoes, hazy.
I like that image too, the haze. It mirrors the faces blur idea. The information might technically still be there somewhere, but our connection to it, our ability to feel it or draw strength from it has faded. It's inaccessible.
Yeah. And he really doubles down on that sense of historical amnesia. Whispers in the dark. Forgotten where we start. Wow. If you've forgotten your starting point, your anchor, then looking for a destination seems almost hopeless.
It certainly makes it tragic. You're searching, but you don't have the map of where you came from to even orient yourself.
So you recognize the problem. Maybe you even feel the degeneration, but you're still stuck in the loop. You can't break out. And that's exactly how the song leaves you, doesn't it? With that sense of being trapped. The ending lines summarize it perfectly. Moving in the same old song, wondering where we belong. The frantic movement continues. The search for belonging continues, even after you've diagnosed the illness.
The realization doesn't automatically provide the cure. The digital beat plays on, the static persists, and the search goes round and round. It's a closed loop.
It really captures that feeling, that very modern sense of running really fast towards something you know is probably empty. It resonates because, well, it feels familiar.
And that's why these lyrics are so potent, I think. They manage to take these really complex, widespread anxieties about being disconnected, about the pace of life, about losing meaning, and distill them into these sharp, memorable phrases.
He gives us language for it.
Yeah, a language for that feeling of being hyperactive and existentially paralyzed at the exact same time, which feels very 21st century. Okay, so let's try and pull the threads together. Kurt Holes paints this picture. A glowing, fast-moving city, but the people in it are running hard yet standing still. They're lost in digital noise, fueled by fear.
Right. And this leads to disconnection, both from each other and from their own past, their foundation.
The screens are pinpointed as the key mechanism driving this. And the result is this state of degeneration, a constant, anxious search for belonging without any real sense of where you came from or where you're going. It's left unresolved. A really powerful piece of cultural diagnosis, concisely put, and it leads us perfectly into a final thought, something for you, the listener, to mull over.
Okay.
So Holes argues that this degeneration is fundamentally linked to forgetting our origins, that line, forgotten where we start.
Right, the loss of foundation of memory.
But here's the twist, or the paradox maybe. In our current age, we're obsessed with recording everything, aren't we? We rely more and more on digital memory, the cloud, social media archives, phones capturing every moment to hold our personal and collective histories.
Yeah, we outsource our memory to the tech. So the question is, does this constant digital documentation, this reliance on external systems to remember for us, does it actually accelerate the kind of internal foundational getting that Holes is warning about? Does it make the haze of memory thicker? Or could be the opposite. Does having all that data stored on the very screens that caused the problem maybe offer some kind of buffer, a technical fix, a temporary foundation, even if it's flawed?
Does technology amplify the loss? Or does it offer a strange kind of digital preservation against it? What's really saved and what's truly lost in that process?
That's a fascinating question to end on, something to definitely think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into degeneration.
See you next time.